What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to a seismic update on the Royal and Wire 54 channel. I hope you are having a fantastic day on this Thursday, February the 18th, wherever you might be. We're going to be talking about the seismic unrest that is currently unfolding in the Southwestern Pacific, and as the energy moves up the ridges to the north and west, what it could mean potentially in terms of North American impacts when the energy eventually shifts off to the north and technically east, as the fault line would be Southwestern Pacific up into the Alaska coastline, as well as the British Columbia coastline and the U.S. West Coast. So what we're looking at in front of you is a week-long map of 5+ earthquakes, magnitude 5+ on the Richter scale. So what we're looking at right here down by the Loyalty Islands is a lot of seismic unrest present all the way up and around. And as you can see around here, a lot of these numbers reaching into the 5s and 6s, so you can see, just for an example here, 5.3, 5.9, 5.4, 6.2, 5.2, 6.2, 5.3, 5.3, a lot of unrest and a lot of stronger earthquakes impacting these areas. Now, granted, most of them are shallow, which means most of the effect is coming at the surface, but that does mean there also could be a transfer of energy starting to move up towards the north and west, and that is evident as well with these quakes. So you can see here 5.3, 5.2, 5.3, 6.0 occurring near, that would be it's east of Indonesia. And as you get actually towards Indonesia, you can see a deeper couple earthquakes, 5.2 and then a 5.2, very deep one there. And then as you move north, there's been a lot of unrest in Japan as well, so we're going to get to that as well. But the main point in here, at least to start off, is a lot of unrest currently unfolding in the Southwestern Pacific. And what I'm going to show you later could explain what might be in it for the North American coastlines. We'll go into all of that. I'm going to keep this a relatively shorter video, hopefully under 10 minutes. But we're going to try and go as in-depth to this as we can, at least at the moment. There's still a lot of uncertainties about it. So just opening the video, you can see a lot of 5s and 6s impacting areas next to the Loyalty Islands. This comes following the 7.7 magnitude on the Richter scale that actually impacted the area a week or two ago. And it just hasn't let up. So you can see 5s and 6s there, and 6 starting to shift to the north and west, 5.2, 5.2, 5.2, 5.2, all along these areas in east and northeast of Indonesia. Moving up to the north, we can discuss Japan for a little bit. And Japan's been going through their own fair share of seismic unrest as of late. So as you can see, if we scroll in, this is just along the coastline, pretty close to the faults. You can see 7.2, 5.3, 5.3, 5.2, 5.3. Strong earthquake impacting the area as of recently. This was just off the coast of Fukushima, and if we take a look at where that was on a map, you can see off the coast of Fukushima listed right here, eventually getting off towards the north and east, getting towards the Sea of Okhotsk. The main thing to note here is the amount of unrest that's going on down here and the lack of it up here. So you guys can see I have significant, or rather 4.5+ over the past week. You can see the swarm, and the fair share of them is coming near the Loyalty Islands. They're coming down here where the 7.7 struck short time ago, couple weeks. With this being said, the energy has started to shift, so you guys can see around here too. A lot of earthquakes topping 4.5+ in and around the Indonesia area. As this shifts north, we're going to start to see a regression in activity around here, but before that regression can begin, it'll likely be following a strong earthquake, potentially of 8 or above, and this is backed up by what we have been seeing in terms of trends over the last few weeks. So in terms of this area you're seeing in front of you, the Loyalty Islands, they had the 7.7 a couple of weeks ago. This has been followed by numerous 5s and 6s, which have been counted as aftershocks technically. We could be in for another strong earthquake in and around this area, potentially of 7 or 8 once again. As that happens, we'll start to see, we'll start to see a shift in the energy move off towards the north and the west, potentially leading in stronger earthquakes up by the Indonesia area, and then potentially north of that. So USGS only shows fault lines up and along here through Indonesia, and they show them as separate ones. They are separate, but the energy can still transfer under. That was a horrible error, realizing that. But the main energy is going to transfer up to the north and west after we see some stronger ones. And we've already seen some strong ones in the 5s and 6s, but we need one to finish it out. We likely could see that within the next week or two up and around the Loyalty Islands. Be on the lookout for a stronger earthquake. And depending on how strong it is and how deep it might be, it could lead to another tsunami threat once again for areas like American Samoa, Australia, New Zealand, and stuff like that. Potentially even the Hawaii and West Coast areas, but that's a really far shot and something we don't need to worry about. As the energy starts to move up to the north and west, you can see up and along the Japan East Coast, they've had their own fair share of seismic unrest. You can see the 7.1, that struck just 5 days ago. So it was very surface-based. You can see on the United States Geological Survey's, quote, did you feel it index, which is also known as DYFI, showing I believe that Roman numeral is 9, if I'm not being an idiot, which is not a guarantee. But you can see the depth only about 50 kilometers, which for an earthquake of that strength is very shallow. So a lot of surface-based impacts came from that. No tsunami threat was generated. But you can see there has been a lot of unrest after that, ranging in the 4s and 5s up and around this area. Some of them surface-based, some of them not. So you can see some of the ones that are drifting north are more surface-based, while some of the ones closer to it are not as surface-based. This one got all the way down to 60 kilometers. Not deep, but deeper than 50. What we're going to begin to see, I mentioned the strong earthquake that will likely need to happen in order for the energy to start to transfer down here. Strong earthquake, this will likely start to transfer towards Indonesia. As we get more unrest there, the energy can eventually start to meander north. Now, because of how these fault lines are connected, the energy can transfer quite easily up and down towards the west coast. So what we're going to be looking at for the next week or so, after this energy starts to transfer up to the north and east, you can see various 5.3, 5.2, 5.3 up and near Alaska. This is just southwest of Anchorage. We could begin to see some activity along the west coast. I wouldn't be surprised if it's within the next week or so. Excuse me. We're going to need to monitor that, especially considering the San Andreas line and how it's been relatively active with a bunch of tremors and a bunch of smaller earthquakes. Could this be leading up to something? Is there a release in pressure that's currently happening, or is it building up? There hasn't been really any significant earthquake over the last few weeks and months even. There hasn't really been too much significant that's happened near the San Andreas, but if we take a look here and start to go down a little bit, you can see there have been a few earthquakes reaching 3.7, 3.7, 4.0, and that is along the San Andreas fault line, and that is south and east, rather, of the Bay Area. So that's something to keep in mind. And if we just take it down a little bit here, you can see a lot of unrest ranging in the Alaskan coastline and an extreme amount of unrest from this Japan quake. This is all going to need to be monitored very closely for stronger earthquake activity as we move up in the following weeks and the following months as well. The U.S., in terms of this, is well overdue for some kind of major earthquake. We haven't had one in a long time. What this means is, I'm going to go back here to 5s and above. This means the fact that we're getting all this activity down here, there's stuff moving down here, it's only a matter of time before stuff really starts to move up and around here. And if I had to place my bets with the stronger earthquakes going on near the Loyalty Islands right now, I would happen to bet that as the energy starts to transfer up through Japan and up into Alaska, we could start to see some stronger earthquakes, and we could start to see a little bit of plate movement going down the west coast of North America. That's really going to wrap it up for this video. This is a very short, sweet, straight-to-the-point video, basically skimming over what we could be expecting over the next few weeks. There will be update videos to this. This is definitely something that we're going to have to monitor, but for right now, that's really all we can gauge confidently. Going over the next few weeks, we'll really be able to get a better idea of what could potentially go on in and around areas like the Loyalty Islands, as well as Japan as it moves up, as the energy can move up through Indonesia up to Japan and then over east into Alaska. That's going to wrap it up for me. Appreciate y'all tuning in to this geology and seismic coverage. If you guys did enjoy this seismic update video, please be sure to leave a like rating down below. Really do appreciate the support. Also hit the subscribe button if you guys are new around here, and click the notification bell if you guys want to be notified every time I go live or post a new video of some sort, whether that be seismic activity, severe weather, winter weather. I do a lot. So be sure to have notifications on. Make sure you're subscribed. I really do appreciate the support. Keeps me going, gives me the confidence to keep doing this, and that'll basically do it for me. My name is Morgan Sheffield, and I will see you in the next one.